She's running for Congress, and we appreciate her being here. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. That's how you know it's me. Good evening, Webb County. Thank you so much, Bill and the Republicans in the Rio Grande for putting this on this evening. What a spectacular event. I'm so honored to be here to speak to my hometown crowd, so thank you so much. Tonight I'm going to speak to you a little bit about our beautiful state of Texas, about our party and our future. Texas is not just a state. Texas is a state of mind. It's one of the many things that I've learned since I've been a Texan for almost 11 years. Here's some of the other things that I've learned of being a Texan. Number one, Texas is the best, and all the other 49 states wishes they were us. Number two, Texans do not take too kindly to folks coming in here telling us what to do and what is best for Texas. Number three, down yonder could mean a mile or 8 hours, but you're still going to be in Texas. And number four, everything is bigger in Texas.
That's right.
Especially our hearts. Worldwide, Texas is known for our cattle, our football, and although I am a Redskins fan, the Dallas Cowboys are known as America's team. I know how to redeem myself. The Port of Laredo is the #1 port in our country, bringing over $303 billion in revenue annually. Our proud oil fielders here in Texas are number 10 in the world, making fracking, pipelining, ranching a sustainable way of life in Texas. Energy sustainability is not about job creation, it's about energy independence that these workers have created. These hard workers and employers can provide for their families. They're economic warriors that support families that in turn support our churches, because charity comes from we the people, we the churches, not big government. Us Texans are a special breed. We're full of love and acceptance. We will always stand up for what is right. In traveling this state, I've gotten to know people all over our district. And one thing that I can tell you is that from El Paso to Brownsville, Houston to Odessa, Laredo to Amarillo, pride for our state and our country is strong. People want to keep God in Texas. People want to show that Texas is still Texas. Back in January, our beautiful Vice Chairwoman, Alma Jackson, took a trip from El Paso to Brownsville with Karen Marshall from the Texas Federation of Young Republicans. Little did she know that in her trip to Laredo, she would walk into my home to find our chairman, Bill Young, an SREC from Houston, and a handful of Texans and Young Republicans who wanted to see real change in our area. During her visit in my home, she and I prayed together, and we talked about what it would take to change not just Webb County, but the rest of the blue counties that fill our border to match the rest of our beautiful red state of Texas. While here, she and I formed a new bond and a new friendship that started with our love for God, our love for Texas, freedom, and the hopes of keeping Texas red in 2020. And solidifying and fortifying our political landscape. I saw her again at my first trip to El Paso, where we watched our president speak and then gathered with others from El Paso who shared the same vision as us. There I also got to meet my dear friend Anthony Aguero, who's more like a brother, who's an amazing patriot, who I'll get to tell you more about in a moment. 6 weeks later, I was at the Capitol in Austin and I got to meet my dear friend, Pastor Tovar. He's become a real brother in Christ and a precious, precious friend. He and his wife, Martha, both have. We were both there for the Texas Faith and Family Values Day that Texas Values and the Republican Party of Texas was hosting. I was there to meet people and see how I can be involved in keeping our faith in action within our state. What happened next was nothing short of God. Pastor Tovar was on the stage after many great speakers in a moving rally, and they introduced this pastor from this little town of Laredo, to which I turned to the people that I was with and I said, I'm fixing to meet that man. And I did. I was carrying my 4-month-old in a baby harpoon, and we went running on the stage. That moment, I knew that I had found a friend. It's funny how God puts people in the right place at the right time. I introduced myself to him, and about 2 hours later, he called and he said, I have some other pastors that you need to meet. I got to meet my dear friends, Pastor Ray and his wife, Sandra, and Pastor Delgado and his wife in Laredo. They are also part of the Laredo Task Force Prayer Unit. Needless to say, when I went, I did indeed form lifelong friendships with some of the most amazing warriors for God who see that God is doing a work in Texas and that God is lining up warriors to go out into battle for his beloved Texas and America. We spoke about how there is a spiritual and a political battle that they were birthing a movement to wake up the sleeping churches around the state about what is going on politically. They told me that they had been praying for God to rise up an army, and God indeed has arisen that army, and it has become awoken. This powerhouse team of pastors have been led by God to bring the smallest churches and the largest churches together to keep God in Texas. They have prayed with Chairman Dickey and Alma Jackson's home for the battle that is ahead. While the DNC elected to keep God out of their party and even booed him at their convention in 2020, our party has not only kept God in our platform, we allow him to lead our party. For far too long, our churches have been silent out of fear. Because of this, less than 25% of any congregation is voting. We wonder where our values have gone. We wonder why the unborn is unprotected. And while we have children in orphanages that are hurting and crying for a family, because we, the church, are not voting our values. It is our job as the church and as the conservative party to stop being silent, get out of our chairs, roll up our sleeves, and get busy. Our party platform is not all about fundraising, although it certainly helps get the mission done. Our party is about educating voters. Our party is about empowering new voters and drawing them out of the shadows and letting them know that they are not alone in what they believe and that their voice matters and that conservatism is actually pretty cool. You can be, to quote Dan Crenshaw, you can be politically conservative and personally liberal. We do have a lot of work to do here in Texas. I have been in every congressional district in the state, and there are patriots who are ready to roll up their sleeves and get into the fight. In El Paso, my brother in this fight, Anthony, who did not just walk away from the Democratic Party, he ran away. He is fighting for the values that he now believes in. In District 23, there's Darwin Bodeker and Tony Gonzalez. Up in Houston, there's R.J. Boatman and Joe Walls. Tim Wesley is to our east. My friend Floyd McClendon, who's a retired Navy SEAL, is in Dallas. We have Mara Garza in San Antonio, Nick Mutos in the San Antonio and Austin area, and many, many more brave patriots who are ready to join the fight and join the leaders who are already there, like Chip Roy and Louis Gilmer, Kevin Brady and Dan Crenshaw. You are not alone. Republicans are the only ones fighting to preserve our history and our beloved monuments, instead of destroying history. In the Texas State House, only the Republican Party was defending our history, including the good, bad, and ugly parts, so that we learn from our past and so that we do not repeat it. With bills that are being put forth by Senator Brandon Creighton and others, we will continue to keep history intact here and living in the state of Texas. We must continue to fight for our gun rights. This is a constitutional promise. Second Amendment, with organizations like Gun Owners of America and brave patriots like Rachel Malone, we have got to support them. Because if we lose one of our rights, we will lose all of our rights. We must support these locally and federally. Our Texas Warriors did not get there on their own. They have support. They have block walkers, contributors, precinct chairs, election judges, phone bankers, and they have people who are just like you that were willing to do their part for Texas and for the nation. My home state of Virginia was once a Republican stronghold. Now it is one of the bluest states in the nation. A few blue districts have now determined the fate of the rest of the state. People are afraid of backlash for standing up for what they believe in. The lowest number of Republican candidates in the state's history. Why? Because they didn't think that they would have support. They didn't understand that they have to be bold. We as Texans must be bold to hold Texas. Hollywood and New York have now come to Texas. Here in our own county, the Justice Democrats have descended upon us, our home, my home, to start the new battle over the state of Texas. They chose here because they think that Webb County will be the first to surrender, but not on my watch. This is not about current elected officials who have not been singing the praises of our district. This is about getting Republicans into office. This is about freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Here in Texas, we are not on the defense. As a Christian mother, Texan, and Republican, I am not just offended by the left, I'm fed up. We are on the offensive. We are not just going to hold the line, but we are going to expand our territory. We are going to take the ground, and we are going to speak to the hearts and minds of Texans who love our state and love our country, love our God, and everything that we hold dear. Here, Laredo is known as the Gateway City. Will we be known as the Gateway City of socialism? Or will we be known as the gateway of freedom, hope, and strength? By strengthening our party and building the people, we will be able to bring promises to Texas. Not just to Texas, but to our neighbors in Mexico. We'll be able to help them because we will no longer be looking for handouts from the government, but hands up from the people. My dear friend Frank Pomeroy had to leave early this evening due to an emergency with his campaign manager, Julie's family. I know that Frank is not only just a warrior behind the pulpit, but he is in fact a warrior for the state of Texas. Friends, there are so many that are rising up, and it's going to take every single one of us to be bold to hold Texas. You need to get with our chairman and find out what precinct you live in if you don't know. Get out there and actively register voters, because if we don't register voters, the left will. And guess how they're gonna vote? If we're not doing our part, then who? It will take every single one of us to turn this district red. And I 100% guarantee that we can do it, because we all hold certain things together. Look around. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. These are Texans. Texans do not bleed red. Texans do not bleed blue. We bleed red, white, and blue, because that's what brings us together. As you're continuing to go out into this 2020 election season, talk about values. Don't talk about what separates us. We can nitpick that all day long. As Republicans, let's look into the future. Let's look at building each other up, because together we will always be stronger than if we're too busy looking at what divides us. You're going to find Republicans that may not agree with you personally, but politically they will. And that's where it matters. One of the things that I've been told here in Webb County specifically, and even down in Hidalgo and Star, is that people are afraid to vote because they're always told how to vote. And the message that I want you to take them is nobody but you and God is in that ballot box. Vote your conscience. Vote your values. Because that is how we will regain not just Texas, but the nation. In closing, I would love to thank Webb County Republican Party, Rafael Cruz, my dear friend Frank, James Dickey, our Republican Party chairman, for making the trip to be here with us tonight, my beloved Terry Harper, our SREC member, for joining us. And James, I understand that Houston took it for 2020, but here in Webb County, we're going to turn so red that you are going to need to do the next convention in 2024, right here in Webb County. God bless you all. God bless Texas, and you all have a great evening. Thank you.